So this movie has been compared to Assault on Precinct 13. I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with that, to be honest with you. We are talking about the movie Last Shift, and yes, it does take place in a kind of somewhat abandoned police station, but that's kind of really about it, to be honest with you. The story here focuses on a lone policewoman beginning her first shift, and basically she is just kind of in this station on its kind of last night, as the police station has kind of moved building, and they're just basically sort of hanging around waiting for some kind of hazmat guys to turn up to take away some of the evidence, basically. And throughout the movie, spooky things start to happen, basically. There's kind of clues revealed about this kind of bloody past and a personal connection to this kind of police officer. And as you probably guess, obviously, as it is a kind of supernatural film, this police station is kind of haunted by vengeful spirits, and basically there's kind of like Manson family there that have all kind of committed suicide there and come back from the grave on the kind of year's anniversary, and you know, spooky stuff ensues, basically. So like I said, I mean, there are some similarities of the kind of the very quiet police station, but it's not a siege film. You're not going to get a kind of the police teaming up with the kind of the prisoners and sieges of kind of bad guys. It's not like that. But this is a film of jump scares, let me tell you. If they're not jump scares, you ain't gonna like this movie. But I have to say, it does have a fantastic sense of creepiness and foreboding. And because I, to be honest with you, was expecting more of an action film rather than a horror film, I was somewhat unprepared for some of these kind of scares, because I kind of heard about this and thought, yeah, it kind of sounds like it's out on Precinct 13, and I was kind of expecting like an action horror film, and it isn't that. So you've been pre-warned. But they do a decent job here. It's a fairly low budget film, but I thought they have a good sense of creepiness. There's some good imagery here. I feel it does kind of fall into some cliches here, and some of the things don't necessarily make sense. There's some sort of characters that are introduced that seem somewhat peripheral, and you know, without kind of giving anything away, you have to question some of the kind of decisions made by this policewoman about, you know, what she sees. I mean, the big thing to me, if you honestly saw some of the stuff that she comes across, you would be insane. You would be completely freaking out. But she remains, apart from one scene, she remains kind of composed throughout the kind of the film, basically. But never really kind of calls out for help or anything like that, which I found a little bit silly. I had a feeling this film would end in a certain way, and I was pretty much right on the money. But it's a decent film. It has some good scares. I guess on a personal note, the bad guys, the kind of the spirits, seemed a little young for me. I have to say, when we kind of see who's kind of behind it, they just seemed, they're not really old enough to kind of have this kind of power, if that makes sense. You kind of you may disagree with me on that one, to be honest with you, but to me, I just thought, these kind of seem like teenagers. I can't imagine them being that well versed in these things. But anyway, so but it's a decent, effective horror film. It does fall into some cliches, but it will scare the bejesus out of you. But if you don't like jump scares, then you know, you'd be prepared to not like this film. But if you are kind of like, obviously this one does appeal to the more of the old school horror fans. Go and check it out. I'm going to give this movie a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.